Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Tam McManus here with me in the studio. Thanks to you for joining us as ever on YouTube. And don't forget, if you want additional content, quizzes, competitions, giveaways, then why not get involved in our latest competition? This week's competition on PLZ Premium is fairly straightforward. You get the chance to win one of these fabulous Maestro tops in red, blue, green or black. It's ideal for a bit of leisure wear, golf, training, you name it. It looks cool. If you're supporting your favourite team, it might be in your favourite colours. And we'll also throw in a chance for you to get one of these fabulous posters with legends of the game with their legendary numbers as well. Good competition, great chance to win your favourite Maestro top and some legends thrown in for good measure. Good luck, sign up to PLZ Premium, you're in the hat and we'll pick out one lucky winner. It could be you. Yeah, beginning to sound more and more like the lottery guy with these promos, but nevertheless, we hope you get involved in it. Lots to talk about, but before we get to the weekend's football, can I just say that we are absolutely delighted on PLZ Soccer to name as our official charity partner Maggie's. They are going to be our official charity partner for the full season, and as you know, Maggie's provides free psychological, emotional and practical support for everyone living with cancer, as well as their family and friends at 24 centres across the UK. So we are absolutely delighted at that. Most of these Maggie centres built in the grounds of major NHS cancer hospitals. Maggie's been a trailblazer of cancer care, as many of you know, for 3 decades now, and it supports hundreds of thousands of people every year. So no appointment needed. People can drop in, speak to fully trained clinical psychologists, benefits advisors, cancer support specialists. And if you want to know more about it, please do visit maggies.org as well. And we'll have a link across our website, our app, and of course on YouTube as well. Throughout the course of the season, we'll be doing little features and giving you an insight into the fabulous work that Maggie's does. And of course, putting out that appeal to you. If you can help in any way, then it will be gratefully received. So delighted with the charity, Ruffy.
It's fantastic. You know, I think unfortunately these things happen, and it takes a lot of weight off the family or the mums and dads. You know, that they can go to Maggie's and get the help that they need, because it's everybody has to deal with it, and they do it very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's what's on offer over the course of the weekend in the football for you, as far as the Scottish Premiership fixtures over Saturday and Sunday. Dundee against Motherwell, Aberdeen, Livingston, Rangers against Hearts, Falkirk, St Mirren, Hibs against Dundee United, and Kilmarnock against Celtic. So no shortage of excitement, controversy, managers in the spotlight. As ever, it has to be Scottish football, and everybody was waiting today to see what Brendan Rodgers had to say after the big fallout between the fans, who clearly are not happy with the lack of ambition showed with, of course, the board. Brendan Rodgers today, this is what he had to say. My job as manager is to pull everything together again. We have to take responsibility that the window wasn't what we wanted. The club put out a statement, and I'm not here to answer those questions because they're not mine. It will become clear how that evolves. I am not here to tell supporters how to feel. I know, I feel it because I grew up with it. I know what the demands are. And of course, from that, Brendan went on to say the summer 2025 was a critical window for us, and we weren't ready. That made me leave the last time. This time, I won't do that. It didn't make me think of walking away. I just felt empty. I would love to stay here longer. I've had informal chats, but no offer to consider. And he also reacted to the mole, or the story that was put out regarding Brendan himself and whether he was itching or etching about for a move. It was interesting when I was shown that. I thought it was a cowardly action. Was I surprised by it? Not really. I was briefed upon the last time I was here when I left. So clearly a little miffed, but not too surprised by apparent mole in the camp or someone just suggesting that maybe Brendan was trying to work his ticket again. Lots to digest there. Alison, what do you make of it?
I thought it was very interesting. I think he addressed quite a lot of issues that have obviously been burning across the last fortnight with the international break. I think we've seen the Celtic support mobilise themselves in that time, meetings midweek to discuss a strategy to make clear their dissatisfaction with the board and the manner in which the club has been run. I think Brendan Rodgers made his feelings on the way in which the window had played out perfectly clear. That they're left to deal with it now. They have to deal with the aftermath of it. They have to deal with the fallout of it. I think Celtic fans will be heading into Rugby Park in the 12th minute, like making the point that they are the 12th man. They want to make their point as much as they can. I think the comments on his future are particularly interesting. The fact that he's had informal conversations with Michael Nicholson and Dermot Desmond, but hasn't actually been offered a new contract. I found that quite interesting. And the fact that that people briefed against him, a perception that people were briefing against him from within the club after he left the last time, I found very interesting too.
Yeah, the ultimate thing out of this is he's going to stay to the end of his deal, Ruffy, and then from there we're going to have the circus of Sunday, which is the fans coming in the 12th minute. Will it make a blind bit of difference?
I don't think it'll make a difference to Brendan Rodgers. The players will get on with their job. They'll be focused in winning the game.
Will it make a blind bit of difference to the board? Because that's why they're doing it.
We know they're not going to walk away. I don't think for a minute the protests that they're going to do. Well, you would like to think as human beings they would grasp that they have been wrong. You know, they haven't admitted it as much. But protest against particular people at a football game is quite hard to deal with. It depends, you know, that how much they think it is their fault. But they'll have to deal with it because it's going to be directed right at them.
What do you think is going to happen? Is it going to prompt a change in attitude, a change in the way they go about their business and strategy? Because if you listen to Brendan Rodgers, he said, it's not for me to answer those questions, but it will become clear how that evolves.
I hope so, Peter. I think that he spoke about that's why he left the last time. He wasn't backed in the transfer window, and obviously Leicester came in mid-season and he left. But I don't think there was any chance of him doing it this time, no matter what happened. I think the abuse and the stick he got the last time for doing it. I think he would at least see his contract out and see it to the end of the season. But you would like to think that the Celtic board and the ownership and the recruitment team would take this in the chin and come back and try and do things differently in the January window. Whether that happens remains to be seen, but it's clear that the Celtic supporters are not happy. Will it make a blind bit of difference? I don't really think so, to be honest with you. I think that the board are the board and they're going to be there, and I don't think it'll make a blind bit of difference to them. But for the players, I think coming out and seeing an empty away support, I think would be, not off-putting, but I think it would. I just don't think it's good for the Celtic players to see that when they walk out. So, listen, hopefully they can get it sorted out and get the fans back in together again. But Brendan Rodgers spoke about coming together as a club, and I think they've got to do that now. They've got that squad to work with from now to January. They've just got to go and do the business on the pitch, Peter.
There are two things that I've said continually, Alison. One of them is it really is something that I think a lot of people are hoping the fans show, which is a bit of decorum, decency. You can show your displeasure at a board. I wouldn't like it to become abusive, because I think if you are going to offer some balance in this, and I think the board over that long period of time, despite the fact that I don't think they share the ambition of the supporters, I think they've got a strategy which is very much led by accountants and bank managers, but you do have to give them credit for making it a really profitable club, well run. It is like a well-oiled machine. They follow that strategy. Some people are not happy with it, but I don't think being abusive towards the likes of Peter Lawwell, Michael Nicholson, Dermot Desmond, who are, after all, what I would consider Celtic men, who are doing the best in the way they see fit. I think there needs to be a change of approach, a fresh approach, a change, which I think the Celtic fans are craving. So first and foremost, I don't think there should be abuse. Secondary, I don't think coming in the 12th minute. They could come in the 89th minute, it wouldn't matter a jot. I think the only way you register any kind of change of direction is if you say, well, I'm not buying your tickets, I'm not buying your strip, I'm not going to this or that, I'm not going to give you my money because I'm not happy with what you're doing with my money.
I think that becomes very difficult to try and garner widespread support for that. I think quite clearly there was a meeting this week between various members or in associations to come together to try and come up with a strategy. I think that might be quite an unpopular strategy of not buying tickets. I think not buying merchandise and not buying food within the stadium. I think all that thing will probably be agreed upon. Ultimately though, I think it's actually very difficult to change the structure of what the board and what the club, how the club functions just now in terms of agitating for any kind of change. Realistically, I do wonder what that means. What is it? Who would step into the void, and what does that change look like? There's been discussions about fan advisory panels and fan advisory on the board, which I think might be maybe something that would appease a section of the sport, but ultimately what you have just now is an anger and a frustration that this is a club that's very well run, that is sitting on money that they have not spent in a transfer window. Now there will be new accounts released in the next couple of weeks. It's almost like trying to smuggle out good news because these accounts will be eye-watering. They'll be very impressive from a boardroom perspective and will underline the business element of the club and how it's run. The big issue they have is that supporters wanted to see that invested into into the first team squad, capable of getting past Almaty, the mighty Almaty, in the Champions League and going on and booking their place at Europe's top table. That didn't happen, and the anger around it is actually anger that has been cumulative for some amount of seasons now, all just coming to a head. I actually don't know how it dissipates, because even if I think that the obvious answer is to win games, and it brings the temperature down a bit and it lowers the tone of it just now. But quite clearly there is unrest throughout the club. This isn't just a fans against the board. What you also have is a manager in the middle of a very murky internal civil war too.
Yeah, and listen, I think the other thing about it, Tam, which has incensed Celtic supporters, is the fact that everything is strategic with them, and even when they eventually did get a reply, it was almost dismissive of them, as if you don't know, we know, this is what we're doing, and here's the this is why we can't do that, this is why we can't do this, and all of these excuses, were quickly batted away by the Celtic supporters, thinking, no, you're not dealing with the issue here, you're just trying to put up a smoke screen of why you're not doing it.
Yeah, I think we'll agree that the statement was pretty patronising towards the supporters. They just told them, or they already knew, Peter, in the PSR, the fair play stuff, that was blown out the water immediately as well in terms of turnover and all that. So, no, I think that they'd have come out better if they'd just come out and been honest about it. And we spoke about it, Ruffy, myself and Ruffy, came out and saying this is what we tried to do, this is who we went to try and get, this is the players we looked at to try to get. I think if they came out and said that and were honest about it, Peter, I think they might have got a little bit, a fairer deal from the supporters, but they didn't do that. They came out and it was just a nothing statement, which patronised the supporters, and it's just through petrol in the flames. So, for me, Peter, I do genuinely think that there has to be a change of approach at Celtic. And listen, the January window will tell everything. Celtic are miles clear, Peter. They won't need to spend money, but if it's neck and neck, they'll be forced into the transfer market to spend money.
Yeah, and I think we're only maybe, unless it's already happened, I'm only speculating at this moment, I think we're only maybe a couple of hours away from the memes of Brendan in the Wolf of Wall Street. With a microphone. I'm not leaving. He's staying. What you make of it, you can give us your thoughts on it. Interestingly, Des has said the Brendan Rodgers press conference hasn't been uploaded to the Celtic YouTube as it usually is. It's probably being heavily edited, or maybe just being sent to HR at the moment. Of course, I just think everything is so strategic with them. It's premeditated. It's 8:42 on a Saturday night. It's let's say nothing unless we absolutely have to. And again, this is just my personal opinion on it. I think they'll just sit and write it out. I think they'll write it out. I think they'll get to an AGM. I think they'll just take the flack that's coming their way, and on it goes. Celtic fans, I think, have to be applauded for digging in. They've galvanised them. I mean, that was, I can't remember who it was already said, I think Chris Sutton mentioned it as well. They certainly have managed to get all the Celtic supporters together against them, Robbie.
Yeah, they certainly have, and the organisations, as you've said there, I think deep down they want a bigger say. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know what happens at the Celtic boardroom behind the scenes. I don't know.
What's a bigger say, Robbie?
I mean, the fan...
What's a fan advisory board?
It's easy to have a board, an advisory board, that when the board do have a meeting, they relate to this board what they're actually discussing, what they're doing, the way they're taking the club forward. At least you're bringing them on board. You might not want to tell them everything, but you tell them the things that they want to know.
Yeah.
And that means they're involved. I don't know if that happens behind the scene, whether they do, anybody in the board does report to the fans advisory committee or not.
Okay, hard to believe it, but there is a game that will go on at the weekend. Kilmarnock, who are on a good bit of run of form at the moment, unbeaten in 6 with 2 wins in there as well. And Kerry Pollock was down there at Rugby Park.
The Premiership returns this weekend as Kilmarnock take on Celtic here at Rugby Park this Sunday, and the manager Stuart Kettlewell says he won't be feeding into or buying into any of the noise that surrounds Celtic at the minute. As he says in his words, there's always something whenever a Glasgow side comes to town.
I've said this a few times, I've faced Rangers and Celtic so many times over the last however many years. And there always seems to be some story or some narrative that everybody wants to latch onto and jump onto. I don't listen to it for a second. I keep saying I've brought up in kind of West Central Scotland, and I've seen it since I was a young child. The one thing that I do know with Rangers and Celtic's obviously the most important one for us this weekend, because that's their opponent. They're a top side. You continually say it. They've continued to win trophies time and again, and that's because of the standard that they've set. They've raised the bar. They've been able to sustain those levels.
Something that the Kelly boss prides himself on and has always done is bringing young players through to first team football, but only if their efforts have shown they deserve to be there.
From an early stage, everybody knows that I'm somebody that likes to try and empower and introduce young players, and I trust them, and they can make mistakes, but I'll continue to trust them throughout scenarios. I'm not fearful of leaving out a senior player and an experienced player to introduce one of the young players. But again, it's not another time where I stand in my soapbox and start preaching about it. I've got really strong views about it. I do, about what that could and probably should look like for clubs in Scotland. And I think it's suffice to say that my intentions and ideas lined up with the football club when I first came in. Hence why everybody asked me the question, and everybody probably has that anticipation for young players to be in the squad. But they have to do something to earn it, because I've always said that I will not play them unless I feel that they're capable of doing so.
It all takes place here this Sunday. Kilmarnock host Celtic in the Scottish Premiership. Kick-off is at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, big thanks to Kerry. The match, Gennaro Daniels, one of the more experienced players, is at a good start. So is the team, Kilmarnock, to be perfectly honest with you. So they think there's maybe a good chance to get at Celtic with all this unrest. So give us your prediction, Ali.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I'm curious to see how the players react to what's going on in the stands with supporters coming in late. I think you saw the effect. COVID, I think, really had an adverse effect on Celtic playing in front of empty stadia and no one in crowds. I just wonder. I think Celtic have been poor across recent games. I thought they were poor at Ibrox. They were exceptionally poor against Almaty. They've not scored a goal in all that time. But when you look at it, the league start's been it's been fine, you know, a winning start. They've not lost a league goal yet. They should prevail. You would expect them to come away with the win. Interesting to see just what all the noise around the last fortnight is. I think Celtic will win 2-1.
Yep. She could tell by the look in my face there. I was going into the...
Ready?
I can
You're
predict.
into Ruffy mode there. You're one of those guys that Tam trains at the SFA coaching course. You had the ball at your feet and you just started running left and right. I don't care who's in the box. I'm just running. Ruffy.
Well, I think defensively they're solid. They haven't lost a goal for a while now. I think we're all waiting to see the new wide guys, the new centre forward, to see whether they're going to take part in the game. I think midfield are still strong, so I think they'll beat Kilmarnock quite comfortably, 3-1.
Oh, 3-1. 3-1 comfortable now. Sam.
Yeah, like Ruffy, I'm interested to see who they play in the forward areas. They've been really, really impotent the last 3 games, so I think they'll play the 2 new wide players, and I think they'll maybe play Maida through the middle. So I'll go for 2-0 to Celtic.
Okay, I'm with you, Ali. Tight 2-1.
I wonder how Maida will play too, just given that the window's now closed and you know he has to
start running again.
He has to.
Okay, it's not game of the weekend, that's for certain, because I think game of the weekend is at Ibrox. Rangers against Hearts. 4 draws for Rangers. Hearts 7 wins and 1 draw. They've been on a great bit of form, but all the news is about Nico Raskin in the Rangers squad. Of course, the big talking point was whether Russell Martin could sit down with Nico Raskin and just get him back on side, have discussions and say, look, we're not happy about this, this and this, and maybe the player gets to air his views as well. Well, at the end up, he's not in the squad, and here's the Rangers manager on why not.
He won't be in the squad tomorrow. We have a lot of conversations, as we do with every player, but he's back training with the squad, which is a good step. And now, like every player really has a duty to make sure that he earns the trust of all his other teammates and the coaching staff and the staff in the building to help us win football matches. It's the same for every player here.
Well, fair play to the manager, made the call.
Yeah, I think he's making a point. He's making a point to everybody else, all the other players. You're not going to mess me about. I'm quite happy to talk to you, discuss what your feelings are, but I think leaving him out is just a wee tester to the rest of the players to say, look, this is what's going to happen if you're going to go down that road, so you need to buckle down. We're in it as a team, so let's play as a team. I'm surprised you left him out. I think he's left himself open a wee bit, you know, if obviously the game doesn't go their way, because that's something that the fans will latch on to. You've had a chat with him, why is he not back in there, why is he not playing? So he's just left a wee opening there if things don't go well.
Yeah, has he made a rod for his own back?
No, I think you've got to back the manager in this situation, Peter. I think that it's clear from that interview that he's either undermined him in the dressing room or on the training pitch. You know, if a manager comes out and says that, probably your best player, probably your most sellable asset, comes out and says that, there's something going on behind the scenes, Peter. You know, and it's not just Russell Martin. You've heard little snippets from, I heard Alex Rae talking the other night, Neil McCann. You know, there's been snippets from people who have been involved at Rangers last season and seasons before who have worked with them, say he's an awkward character to deal with in training and stuff like that. So whether he says something out of turn, I don't know, but it's very, very clear that Russell Martin's been strong in this situation, and he has to be, because as Ruffy will tell you, if you give players an inch, they'll take a mile, and he has to be strong with Nico Raskin here. The supporters will not be happy with it, but I think you've got to back the manager, you've got to back his judgment, and there's no player bigger than a football club.
Yeah, if you've got player unrest between player and player, that becomes difficult as well.
It's interesting, Peter, sorry that you said that about earning the trust of the players as well.
Yeah.
So maybe the players have not been happy with him as well. That's what that comes across as that, Peter.
That's where I see that.
I think quite clearly there has been something said out of turn. I think my anticipation was that it would have been smoothed over this week, that it would have been the window's closed, you're here, it makes sense to get you back in and playing. Let's have a conversation, perhaps an apology, and we move on from it. Quite clearly that whatever's happened, it's not gone that way, and I think it's one of those ones that if Rangers are to win tomorrow and they come out of it with that first league win, people will be happy, they'll be content, you've got the win. If they don't, it becomes a much bigger issue again. It becomes a much bigger talking point, because there's no question that he is probably their best midfielder at the club, was their best midfielder across the latter half of the last campaign. So I think when you're choosing not to play, I mean, this is a guy that was scoring and playing for Belgium. You know, when you're choosing to leave him out, I think quite clearly the manager has felt that his authority has been questioned, that it's been questioned in front of other players, that perhaps senior players too have also felt that he's spoken out of turn. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops.
Yeah.
The easy option, Peter, would have been for Russell Martin just to put him back in the team and the squad.
Yeah.
Support is a fan's favourite. The easy option for him would have been take the heat off himself, take the pressure off himself, play him. But I think he's shown a lot of bottle and he's sticking to his guns, Peter. And it's not quite on the situation of Shearer and Ruud Gullit, where they both went head to head and they left him out. But it's similar, you know, it's a fan's favourite, he's left him out, he's binned him, the manager's under pressure. If Hearts beat him tomorrow, he's going to be under even more pressure. But if he doesn't, then he'll think that the manager was right.
Yeah. Can I ask you, has he been brilliant since the start of the season?
No, Peter, and it's not as if he's a good football player, but he's not as if he's won 15, 16 trophies at Rangers. He can just go on and say to the manager, no, I don't like the way we're playing, don't like the system. Because clearly it's been stuff like that's been said in the training ground, Peter, or in the dressing room. So I think he's a good football player, but in terms of being the top man at Rangers, I don't think he is, no.
I haven't seen anything. I mean, I like him when he's on his game. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that he can really, he really puts himself about. He can close players down, stop them. He can obviously offer something in a positive sense moving forward. But I don't know about you, Rafi. Am I in cloud cuckoo land here? But I like midfielders that actually go and win games for you, change the outcome of a game, make a telling pass. Am I losing the plot on where are those midfielders? I mean, he doesn't do it. I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, how many games has he won by taking the game by the scruff of the neck?
Yeah, I think there's not many games he's been man of the match. No, he's never been a standout. He's never grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. I just think, unfortunately for him in the last year, his head's been turned away from football, whether that's his dad or his agent or whatever, because somebody's telling him he's a lot better than what he is, because I think he thinks it as well. I think he thinks that he could go anywhere in Europe and get a top club, and I think he's been working his ticket, but I don't think he's been getting 100%. I don't think and that might be an issue as well with the manager, who's sussed that out, that he would rather be somewhere else than here.
Okay, now let's talk about Hearts, because Derek McInnes, interestingly enough, well done to him, he's the manager of the month, no surprise, August, great for Hearts. I just wonder about, I think he was trying to just put a lid on the, I wouldn't say excitement, but anticipation that things are getting better for Hearts. And there's a little bit of an increase in the expectation. Put it that way, Alison. He's just said, listen, January's a better indicator of where we are in the league and how we're progressing gradually, rather than this Hearts are now going to Ibrox, going to lay down a marker, they're going to be the real deal.
Yeah, I think it's sensible. I think you look at the way Aberdeen started the season last term and then how they fell off a cliff going into November. So I think he's right to urge a bit of caution. I think maybe the stats and the points tally perhaps massage the start that Hearts have had. I think they've had a strong start, a decent start, but maybe not performances haven't been quite as convincing as those would suggest, as those figures would suggest. I think they've carried a wee bit of luck in a couple of games. I think tomorrow's quite a big test for this Hearts side in terms of showcasing, well, where are they? What have they got when they go to Ibrox? I think you have to go way back. Is it something like 4,091 days come tomorrow before the last time that Hearts won at Ibrox? So
I did actually say, Ali, the other day there that it's 6 wins. It's 6 wins in about 70 odd games at Ibrox. I think I put it in context of 6 wins in 163 overall.
I think it will just be interesting to see how they go about playing against Rangers. I think if they go out and make a strong start to the game, they can capitalise on the bad feeling within the club, around the stadium. They can add to the pressure on the manager if they try and dominate the open exchanges of the game. if, however, they go in and go a goal down early on, I think there's still a danger that the game could slip away from them.
Even 6 wins at Ibrox since 1985. It's not great, Robbie.
No, it's no. I mean, I'm not convinced by them yet. I keep looking at that Motherwell game, 3-0 down at home, in 45 minutes. That's not the sign of a team that's unbeatable. Obviously, they got their act together. The late goal against Livingston, the late goal against Dundee United. I think there's a lot of hype there, and quite rightly so, where they are in the league and the new players that are coming in. I think they will give Rangers problems up front, but I don't think they'll beat Rangers.
Okay, the Brazilian Aguirre's out, Kent's out, Raskin's out for Rangers. There is positivity around players that we hope are going to shine on this stage here, and certainly we hope it's going to be better than the dross we watched between Rangers and Celtic. But you've got, Asgard, 4 goals for Norway. Cornelius scored a wonder free kick for Canada against Wales. And of course, Chermiti at some point is going to come on. Everybody's going to get excited. He cost a fair amount of money. And on the flip side of that, you've got Shanklin alongside Braga, who really have been tearing it up. They love Braga, the Hearts fans.
Yeah, they do, but I'm probably similar opinion to Ruffy. I've watched Hearts a few times. I've not been convinced by them. They're winning games, they're getting results, they're scoring late goals, which is a good sign. But I'm not convinced about them defensively. That back three, Peter, and I think.
Do they need time to settle in though? He's just come in the door.
Yeah, I think they do. Obviously, they had the League Cup games, which bred a little bit of confidence as well. But I'd fancy Rangers strong in this game, Peter. I just think that the signings the Rangers have made, I think they'll go and win the game. Derek Cornelius, Asgard, hasn't been great for Rangers so far. Maybe needs a little bit of time, but 4 goals for Norway as a sub. As some going, he'll come back with, his confidence really, really high. So I look at Miovski, Chermiti in that forward area, Gassama. I just think Rangers have got too much in the forward areas. I think Hearts will score, but Rangers will win 3-1 for me.
3-1?
3-1 to Rangers.
and that in itself, I think if it's as emphatic as that, takes the heat off, because the one thing that I think was an absolute godsend for Russell Martin was the fact that there was madness going on across the city, which really took everybody's mind off.
And the international break came at a good time as well for him, and not losing the Old Firm game. So, listen, I think he said a couple of weeks now to work with the team, work with the players. Obviously, there's been a few away in international duty, but I think he'll have the team in his head that he wants to go and win the game. And I think if Rangers turn up and play well, I've seen enough from them in bits and pieces that they're good enough to beat Hearts at home, Peter. So I'll go for Rangers to win comfortably, 3-1. The Hearts bubble to get burst.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Bearing that in mind, Alison, Rangers, Russell Martin, got to start seeing a style, got to make sure that they do not give any kind of fuel to the fire that Celtic could potentially know on a Sunday that they could increase their advantage. They've got to go and do the business.
I think they'll win because they have to. I think the pressure is on to win. I think they will. I think it'll be 2-0.
Ruffy, is that a comfortable 2-0, Ali?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think if Rangers score early on, it could be, I'll go for 3-0.
3-0 Rangers?
Yep.
Okay, right.
It's a new and exciting Ruffy this season.
It really is.
They're boring. Your two stock score lines are 1-1 and 2-0.
Yeah.
You never very deviate about it.
I only say it as I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you,
I don't make it up.
There's a fair bit of yeah, absolutely. There's a fair bit of consternation around our predictions for the 1 to 12. So I might as well just keep it going. I'm going to go for Hearts for the draw at Ibrox. So we shall see how it all pans out. Give us your thoughts on it. I quite like this one. Manager of the month for Derek McInnes was PLZ, the judges.
Probably you. Good lad, Derek.
Thanks for that, Tom. Ruffy thought it'd be a tight game, 4-4 draw. William, you're not too far away from that. Robert says all the pressure is on Hearts. Well, it's going to be interesting because certainly they can't have any slip-ups. Or again, suddenly the focus will switch to Ibrox. But give us your thoughts on it as well. What do you think is going to happen in those 2 big games we've been discussing in detail? Kilmarnock against Celtic and Rangers against Hearts at Ibrox. Other matches to look forward to as well, and big questions. Again, when we're talking about managers under pressure, Aberdeen Livingston, 1 win this season against Morton, and no goals scored. He's under a fair bit of pressure, is Jimmy Tilley.
Spent a lot of money too. He's a lot of recruitment this summer. I think he badly needs to get up and running, and not just to get up and running, but to start to piece together a fairly consistent run of form. I don't think there's any question that he's under pressure. I think the Scottish Cup win maybe just bought him a bit of time. But when you look at that run of form, when you look at the league run of form since mid-November last year, it makes for pretty grim reading.
The one thing that's his saving grace is I think he might have some wingers and some goals up front that might actually change the way they're going to play.
Yeah, I can see them getting better, Peter. They can't get any worse at the minute. No bottom of the league, no scored a goal. But I think the 3 signings that they've made have not been playing. I think they might take a week or two, a couple of weeks to stay gel. And Kevin Nisbet's not been playing football. Stuart Armstrong's not been playing football. I don't think Carlson's been playing at Bologna. So they're 3 good signings, but it might be in 2 or 3 weeks' time once they get game time under their belt. So I think Livingston can pull off a wee upset here and get a draw up there. But I think he is under pressure. I think when you look at the level of recruitment and the level of finance that he's had as Aberdeen manager, they should be nowhere near the bottom of the league. They should be 3rd place, 4th place. But I think Livingston, fit, strong, stuffy, I think they'll go up there and get a 1 each draw.
Yeah, David Martindale would love the budget that Jimmy Tillene has had.
But I think they signed 4 boys at the tail end of the window. And for me, the 4 players that they signed are probably starting 11. So I think they signed really, really wisely at the end of the window. Stuart Armstrong's going to improve most squads in the Premiership. Kevin Nisbet's tried and tested. Mitchell Framer a wee bit short at left back. I know Nicky had been playing there at times and Graham Shinney had played there at times. So he's going to give him a wee bit of squad depth in the left back area. And they brought another one in. I've seen a lot of his clips and he looks like a really, really good player. So they've signed well in the summer, but they've went and reinforced that late on in the window with, for me, which looks like on paper 4 very, very good signings.
Okay, Tam thinks it's going to be a draw. Livingston not on a great run at the moment though, Ruffy. 3 defeats. No,
I think Aberdeen will win this one. I think this is the day that they're going to turn it, the weekend they're going to turn it round. I think they'll win this quite comfortably. I'm going to go for them to win maybe 2-3-0.
Yeah?
Yeah.
2-3-0 again?
Yeah.
Are you on some kind of
David
tablet?
David Martindale's already made my mind up. He's talking them up already.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on that point, is this the climb from here?
It's got to be here. They can't go back the way. They're going to go up. So I don't think he's. I know Alison's saying that he is under pressure to win games. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think there's any defining thing of getting sacked. You know. But like Rangers, they've got to turn the tide.
Is it a Miley Cyrus moment for you, Ali? Just testing your musical knowledge. Is it the climb for the Dons after the weekend?
I think they'll win this weekend. I think they'll win 2-0. I think it'll be fairly comfortable. But it can't be a flash in the pan. It needs to come on a consistent basis. I think they have signed well. I think the players that they've recruited at the back end of the window will make a huge difference. But it's how quickly they get up to speed.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Livy to get a point.
Aye,
yeah.
1 each for me,
Yeah, I'm going to go 1-1 as well. Did you give us your 3-0?
I'm 3-0. I mean, if you think back to that Falkirk game before the Aberdeen boy gets sent off, they hammered Falkirk.
Yeah.
I think if there were the 11 men on the park, they'd have won that one quite easily as well.
Yeah, any chance you can just listen to your old international teammate? It doesn't say they hammered them in the scoreline at the end of it.
True.
Kenny Dalglish used to say that. You should remember that, Ruffy.
True, I will.
Okay.
I
Just
also remember you said 1 each.
That's another good point. Just out of curiosity, and I feel as if before we go on to Dundee against Motherwell, I feel as if I should let a little, bit of gossip. You like gossip, Ali, out of the bag. Ruffy goes to the same hairdresser as myself, and he's trying to get you to move completely away from
the mullet,
the mullet and the McDonald's hairstyle that you have. But you're not for doing that.
No, that's not a mullet.
I used to have it short at the back now. He tried to get me to a McManus, but I mean, I'm not into that. Norman look.
You're going for the skin fade.
Is it too late, Ruffy?
It's far too late.
Get a skin fade, Ruffy?
Far too late.
One of the boys this morning was saying to him, I remember him with his 1977-78 haircut with a perm.
Yeah, it was a bad deal.
But
that was a bad deal.
It was.
You never have a perm, Alison? It took me 4 years to grow that out.
Is that right? God, we're going into Legally Blonde, the movie now. Don't put any chemicals in
Put
it.
mousse in it, Ruffy. What did you put in it?
I
Mousse?
put nothing in my hair at all.
No.
Nothing.
Okay, fantastic.
Nothing.
There you
No
are.
moisturiser in my head either.
You've been doing that, Tom?
Really, Ruffy, aye.
Yeah, okay. Dundee against Motherwell. Cara is back out. I'm delighted Cara Henderson is fit. She's back with us, and she was out there to get the thoughts of the Motherwell manager.
Scottish Premiership action returns at the weekend as Motherwell travel to face Dundee at Dens Park, and although they're going in great form, they're still chasing that elusive first win of the league campaign, and this is what Jens Bertel Askew had to say on that situation.
It's a great feeling to win. That's what we're chasing. We approach every game with that mindset that we want to win them, and we do our best to win. It's not like the project stops if we don't win on Saturday, and it's not like it's finished. We can clap our hands and relax and sit and lean back and say, "Oh, that was fantastic. That was it. Now everything is coming. We don't have to work for it. It's the same." It's the same mindset.
It was a busy transfer window for the Steelmen, with them adding almost half of their squad through the transfer window, and this is what the manager had to say looking back on the window as a whole.
I think in general we were really pleased with the transfer window. There's been a lot of players who've left us this summer, and we've brought in approximately half of the current squad. We've brought in this summer, and some of them quite late. Like recently, so it's still a new group. We've changed a lot in the staff as well, so it's, as I said, there's plenty to work on. There's still a lot of relations to build, but I think the players and the staff have been brilliant in terms of trying to spend enough time together.
It's a 3 p.m. kick-off then on Saturday as Jens Bertel Askew's side travel to take on Stephen Presley's outfit at Dens Park, and PLZ Soccer will have you covered, so make sure that you follow all their social medias and YouTube channel to get all the updates as they happen.
Great to see Cara back, isn't it? I mean, honestly, she's had a tough time, has our Cara, and absolutely brilliant to see her back out there in the field.
Yeah, delighted to see her back in amongst it, and I'm sure she's probably quite relieved to be back in.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
professional, very polished there.
Yeah,
Others than good take note.
absolutely.
Thank you, Sam.
Yep, but they've all left now for lesser jobs. We've just been left with the quality. Just on that point, Motherwell 4 draws in the league. I mean, this is the thing about it. I've been raving about them.
Oh, here we go.
I know,
You
but
got 6-0 Motherwell.
no, but what I'm saying to you is I've been raving about
love
them.
me, Motherwell.
But they're going to Dens Park and they still have only had 4 draws. I mean, we've seen some good football, but you've got to get results.
We've got an end product, Peter, and they have played a lot of good football, and they should have beat Hearts. Should have beat Kilmarnock. A couple of goalkeeping errors. It's probably cost them points, but I don't see a lot of goals in this game. I think both teams are a wee bit toothless up front, but I think Motherwell will just edge it. I think Motherwell are playing the better football. I seen Dundee against Dundee United. They were fairly toothless up front. They didn't have anything in the final third. So Elvis needs to find someone in there. Get some more goals, more service to Murray. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Motherwell just to edge it.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, they play good football. They're nice to watch, Ruffy. But Dundee have got a manager who's just saying, we've got to make sure that we're difficult to get a goal against.
Yeah.
He just wants it tight at the moment and then maybe nick something. And I think the general feeling from Stephen Presley talking this week is maybe, Kilmarnock and Rangers good performances, but we want to see if maybe a win takes us above Motherwell and changes people's perception of Dundee and gives them a bit of, positivity.
Yeah, I think after every game that he's played, obviously not won them, he's seen things that are positive. I think he's trying to convince himself that there are positive bits in there. I certainly haven't seen any. I think when you come out of every game and your star man's your goalkeeper, it means he's getting too much to do and the rest of the team aren't pulling their weight. So I don't think he's there yet. I don't think he's got the players yet that have proved that they can win this one. So I'm going to go for Motherwell to win 2-1.
Yeah, Ali?
I'm going to go for Motherwell too.
Yeah.
I've liked the look of them when I've seen them. They've been a bit unlucky in games too that I've seen. I thought they should have won just before the international break. The goalkeeper had a bit of a nightmare. I think I like watching them. I've seen them twice so far this season. I've quite liked how they've set up. 1-0 Motherwell.
Yeah, I think Motherwell edge it by 2-1. as well. Okay, Falkirk against St Mirren. We're getting to your Hibbies shortly, son. But Falkirk against St Mirren. Falkirk got that win over Aberdeen, as Ruffy alluded to. St Mirren, though, 3 draws. If anything, the good news for Falkirk is Scott Bain doesn't have a problem with the thumb, and it's a thumbs up, he's in.
Yeah, listen, I think that's great news for Falkirk. Really experienced goalkeeper, started well at Falkirk. Falkirk at home, I think, will cause teams a lot of problems. They're very, very attacking. They're used to playing on that surface. I've seen St Mirren against Hibs just before the international break. I thought they looked pretty good as well. No dangers in the forward area. So this is a game that I can see goals in. Hard to call a winner. St Mirren maybe just didn't sneak it 3-2. But I think there will be goals in the game. Falkirk look good going forward. I'm not convinced about them defensively yet. And I think St Mirren have got the pace and the power up front in the forward areas to punish a Falkirk team will go in full attack in front of their home fans.
Yeah, I like St Mirren. I just think he's one of, for me, if you were looking at the top managers in the division, it's something we probably haven't discussed in any great detail. Who are the best managers in the division? I mean, I don't think I'm going to cause any great controversy by saying Brendan Rodgers is the best coach in the division, but I think he's up there, Stephen Robinson.
Yeah. Well, if you listen to all the other managers when they're doing the interviews and that, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is budget. They know they've not got the budget the same as everybody else, the likes of Livingston, St Mirren, and but they get on with it. They don't bleat on about it. They just throw it out there so everybody remembers. I just like St Mirren. I think this year they're going to be the team that's going to take some points, or the most points, out of the bigger sides. And it's interesting you saying the players that he brings. I mean, we had him in the show here just to get back to sort of signing players and bring them in when you bring them in. He was telling us that he's actually in the market 6 months before the window. He doesn't have a director of football or anything like that. He's a guy down in England who thinks all the games down there, and they're 6 months ahead of any window that's coming up, and that's what they have to do to survive.
I think what Ruffy's just basically saying there, Ali, is Stephen Robinson will never get the Celtic job. It's just he's too thinking too far ahead.
Two windows ahead.
Yeah, he'll never get it. I mean, that would be battered out of him. As far as Stephen Robinson, you're right. A lot of managers, including John McGlynn, have been very complimentary about Stephen Robinson as being the benchmark for what every other manager should be trying to do. And I think Stephen Robinson is flattered by the compliments.
Certainly, and it's not certainly just me that John was aiming that at. That says the club as a whole. It's grown massively over the last 3.5 years. I think the similarities are, we're some of the smaller clubs in the division, but there is still a chance to be relatively successful and build on what a good structure that was already there and keep trying to progress it. So, yeah, I'm sure people will look to St Mirren and the board and the setup that we've got with the training ground, that it is achievable and it is sustainable.
Yeah, that's Stephen Robinson for you. So give us your call on this one, Ruffy.
I have a funny feeling I'm going to sneak this one. I think obviously Falkirk continue to play entertaining football. Yeah, we've seen it, we love watching it, but unfortunately, if you play that style of football, you're coming up against a team like St Mirren, you're going to leak goals, and I think St Mirren are going to win this one 2-1.
Yeah, Ali?
2-1 for me too.
Tom?
3-2 St Mirren.
3-2, 5 goals. Wow, tremendous excitement.
I think about a lot of goals in that game.
Oh, fantastic. Get in early. For God's sake, don't wait to the 12th minute. Could be 2-1 by then. What about the final game? I've got it here, Tam. Just looking at the last time Hibs actually played, they drew 1-1 with St Mirren. And then, of course, Dundee United got that derby win. It's got the makings of a fabulous game. But I'm looking at the Hibs side on that day. And it's Jordan Smith, Grant Hanley, Rocky Bashiri and Jack Iredale. And then it's Chris Cadden and Chiwa, Dylan Levitt and Nicky Cadden and Martin Boyle, Thibaut Klidji and Junior Hoylett. Is that the strongest side, Hibs?
No, because Kieran Bowie's obviously not there in Mulligan. So I would go goalkeeper, probably Smith at the minute. Back three, I would go Bashiri, Hanley and O'Hara.
Right.
I'd go the two Caddens, Chris Cadden, right wing back, left wing back, Nicky Cadden. Three in the middle, Chiwa, Mulligan and Levitt. And up front I would go Boyle and Bowie.
Yeah, Miguel Chaiwa. I was trying to think of his name. Finally got
It's
it.
interesting there's a lot of rumours that Hibs could be wearing the green and white hoops in this game.
What?
There's rumours online that Hibs, for their 150th anniversary, could be wearing green and white hoops in this game
Wow.
against Dundee United. I stress it's just rumours.
And where's the tradition in that?
Because Hibs were the first, they wore the hoops before Celtic, they were founded.
So there you are, Ruffy.
1875.
I remember. I can.
Is it Hibs Hall of Fame?
I can remember the green with the white sleeves. I
Green
can
and white
remember
hoops
that
with
one.
HFC in the middle. So Hibs were first to wear the hoops before Celtic.
Yeah.
Was
there
that
you
way
are.
back in the
So we're talking about
20s?
doing that for
So in
1875.
this game.
That's a rumour. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
just
Well, there you are. That's
wind up for the
another
Hibs supporters, but it's
chance.
interesting when they take their tracksuit tops off to see what strip they've got on.
Chance for a commemorative shirt again. You can see the opportunities all over this one. Gavin and Adam and all the boys will be promoting that if it does happen.
Never happened.
But nevertheless, it's against a Dundee United side, and it's going to be tough because listen, this is some run, Ali. I mean, David Gray's side, as well as the game against United, Rangers in the Cup, Falkirk, Celtic, and Hearts, and all of them are away from home.
Yeah, I think it has been a tough run for them. They're at home this weekend. It's the games at Easter Road on Saturday. Yeah, I fancy them. I think Dundee United are on a good run. Obviously, Jim Goodwin just signed a new contract. He's impressed up at Tannadice. I just fancy Hibs for this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 2-1.
2-1 to the Hibbies. What about Jim Goodwin? I'm delighted for him because he's just signed a new rolling contract. I like that. It's a rolling contract.
Smart move, a rolling contract.
Yeah, why?
I just think you're always in the final year, effectively, of a contract. You've always got a year to go. I think it takes a lot of the sting out of things. It takes a lot of the uncertainty out of it, and I think managers quite like it because then obviously if someone comes in for you, you've just got a year's compensation.
Yeah, and if you want to bullet them as well, you get a chance not to pay out fortunes. It works both ways.
Parties,
Listen, he brought in 14 players in the summer, Ruffy. He has said he won't need as many next summer. I'll go back to him on that quote and say to him, you said, because I've never met a manager who doesn't need more players in a January or even a summer transfer window. Interestingly enough, though, in one of his quotes, he did mention the fact that they can't match the vast amounts of money being spent by Aberdeen, Hearts and Hibs. So he was looking to recruit players with height and power. Now, this is, for me, a smart move by a manager I've got a lot of time for, because there are many ways, as you know, Ruffy, to skin the cat. There are many ways to win a game. There's no such a thing as just out-and-out pure football. If you've got to work out how to beat an opponent who's got better resources, sometimes you think to yourself, well, let's utilise set pieces, long throw-ins, all of these added bonuses. And I do think he's got some really good footballers as well.
Yeah, I mean, whoever's the director of football or who's identifying these players from all these different countries has done particularly well. I can't off the top of my head think of one that hasn't done his bit at the beginning of the season. A lot of them are unknown. That might change as the season goes on, because unknown quantity, how they play, their strengths, their weaknesses. But certainly at this moment in time, they're bought well, they're brought in well.
What's your prediction?
2-0 Hibs.
Does it ever change?
Does it? No, that's why we love him.
Yeah, what are you going for?
I think there'll be goals in this as well, Peter. I'm going to go for 3-1 to Hibs. I've been pretty impressed with Dundee United this season, going forward.
Yeah.
Dolchek looks a real thing. Sarpsborg. They've got some players that can cause problems for Hibs in the final third, but Hibs back to full strength. With Bowie back in the team, Mulligan back in the team, 3-1 Hibs.
Did you?
I fancy Hibs.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-2. There you are.
Just in one of those moods of disruptor
I think I've got
moods.
about 3 or 4 draws in my predictions, Robbie, but nevertheless, I think United have got... Hugh has just said, Peter loves Goodwin. Remember Darvel. Hugh, you make...
He's bang on.
Yeah, Hugh, you make a very good point. The one thing that I always remember, I'll never forget...
I know you're going to say that's Easter
He
Road.
just walks across Easter Road and he's getting sacked. It's just, he's been sacked. He's walking across Easter Road. You're wondering if there's a car there waiting for him. Is anybody even going to pick him up? I thought it was one of the saddest live pictures I've seen for a football manager, and I'm so happy for him for the last 2 years, and I like the way his team are playing football. So, yeah,
He looked a busted flush after that, didn't he?
listen, I didn't even think he was going to get a job as quickly as he did. So I'm a Jim Goodwin fan and always have been. So yeah, United are reaping the rewards of it as well. And just to back that up, Kenny Merchant says Dundee United will not make top 6, no way. So there you are. Take that kick in the teeth. That's what it's all about. Give us your thoughts on what you think is going to happen in the predictions. Tam and I will be standing next to our technical board, giving out the odds out and firing that out before the games kick off. You can give us your thoughts on that as well. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, because right across the weekend our reporters are out at the games, keeping you right up to date with what's happening. Managers, players interviews, talking to fans, giving you lots of information ahead and after the game as well. So it's well worth not only downloading the app, look at the website, and right across our social media, we're keeping you up to date with everything that's going down. A nice little return before we finish to Ange Postecoglou.
The GOAT.
He's back, and for many Nottingham Forest fans, what a chance to see somebody shout from the back line, charge, and then they all move forward. It's unbelievable. The only man who stays is the goalie, and he starts looking mightily worried on the counter-attack. But Ange, he's there to try and win.
Sometimes you don't know when these things will end. I certainly didn't expect to finish up after winning a trophy either. So that's just the nature of football. And, in terms of the style question, again, look, it's pretty familiar territory for me. It was a similar when I took over at Spurs. They wanted to change kind of the way they played, but it's a little bit different this time, obviously, with me taking over, 3 games into the season, and it'll be a gradual process. But I think, if you look at the squad and even the first 2 or 3 games, I think Nuno himself was probably transitioning to something a little bit different from what it was. But you know what, even if I was playing exactly the same, we're all different.
Yeah, and he says the way these things are, he might have to win a trophy in the first season to get a second season.
Does this count as a first season?
Yeah, I must admit though, I thoroughly enjoyed his company. I was lucky enough to have I had 2 or 3 great days with him, and he was absolutely top drawer. Loved a laugh, loved enjoyment. What about his team? What are they in for?
Yeah, I think you know exactly what they're in for. It's a commitment to attack. It's about going and trying to win games. However, whatever that may look like, it's a focus on attacking football, which I think is what draws crowds. It might not be to everyone's liking. There'll be points where they'll think, maybe just shut up shop a bit or try and protect what you've got in games. You know exactly what you're going to get. But yeah, I'm with you. I liked listening to him. I was there the first day when he was unveiled as Celtic manager, and he had everyone eating out of his hand within 5 minutes. This guy who'd come in to a kind of scathing assessment, almost like Ange Postecoglou, who is he, and Eddie Howe turned down the job, and within 5 minutes he had everyone just he had the room. He had he's a charismatic kind of guy. You can understand why players buy into what it is he wants to do. I think you can see why players would gravitate to what he wants.
He's in my top 10 of Scottish managers who've come in. Who Walter Smith was one. Also, Martin, Gordon Strachan. You love a top 10. I know I do. Gordon Strachan. Just those managers who don't suffer poor journalists lightly, and they just batter them out into left field. If you were not prepared, you get the cold stare from Walter. If you thought you would.
Gab's got a couple, didn't he? From early doors from Vange.
Poor
I was on him every day. And just got you in toast, Gabs.
There is a.
He get battered.
Oh my God!
He could. I don't even think Gabs, who used to work here. I don't even think when he had a really good question, it got any kind of a credibility.
I kind of felt a bit for Gabs. I don't know if it was just the accent, because Gabs has like this kind of London Southern English accent.
Yeah.
I don't know if it just went against.
Do you think the Aussie? Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I'll tell you one thing about Gabs, though. He stuck in there like the good PLZ employee he was. But when you go to small radio stations, it's up to you. Let's talking of which, Robbie, and give us your prediction. Arsenal, Nottingham Forest.
Oh, Arsenal 2-0.
4-0.
Arsenal 3-0.
5-3 Arsenal.
Yeah, that'll be a great game, won't it? That's the early kick-off.
Keep going to Falkirk first.
Yeah, Man City, Man United.
Oh, don't know what's happened to Man City, but I think they're still good enough to edge this one.
Yeah, 2-1.
2-0.
Ali?
2-1.
2 each.
Yeah, God, as if you were putting any great thought into it there. People hanging on your words. Ruffy, always like to say it. Just before we finish, 18 years ago, it was a great night. Don't worry about it. We were in the Parc des Princes.
Okay.
I had a right good skull full of wine after it as well. But on the night, I was sober. Although some people wouldn't think so. when James McFadden hit that raker into the roof of the net, and
the testicles dropped.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for that, Tam. But I remember saying to James McFadden, James, how do you feel after scoring that wonder goal? And he looked at me and he said, I'm hearing I didn't feel as good as you.
I certainly, I've said this on numerous occasions. I was 6 rows behind you, and I could hear every word. So people round about you must have been nodding their heels. Oh, is this guy doing? But with Alec McLeish on the week, during the week there, and Alec first thought he said this. What are you doing, James? Why are you hitting that?
Yeah,
that's what he was saying for the side. So it just shows you these things happen.
And then when James hit that, he said, "That's exactly what I told that boy to do. Wait till you're 40 yards out when we haven't had a shot on goal and they are absolutely battering his alley." I mean, there was one point in the game, I might as well just share this moment with you. There was one point in the game which Ruffy remembers where James McFadden, now this is France with Makalele, Henry, the lot, they're absolutely battering us. We haven't had a shot on goal. We haven't been near their 18-yard box. And James McFadden gets a nutmeg on the halfway line. This is about 44 minutes gone. And I'm going, that'll do for me, James. Just a nutmeg now. 10 bob a nutmeg, Ruffy. Because we were absolutely throwing our body in front of them.
Oh, it was just block after block after block. It was just one of the nights where the defenders are just, the balls are just hitting off them every time they went into a challenge. They managed to get it away, but they couldn't believe it. I just remember their faces at the end of the game. They just couldn't believe what had happened to French players.
Yeah, it was absolutely magnificent. It was brilliant, and I had a few sherbets that night with my great friend Davy Prov and the Scottish fans who managed to steal tickets from every French fan that they could. They absolutely surrounded the whole place. It was magnificent. Anyway, happy days. Thanks to Tam. And of course Ruffy and Alison McConnell. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Come and join the football family. If you want to, you can hit PLZ Soccer's Premium. You'll get additional content, competitions aplenty, and lots more interesting interviews on the way. But over and above that, if you want to get yourself some trendy gear, why not get into our shop?
PLZ Soccer Shop. 20 football legends, one incredible collection, canvas, prints, t-shirts. Pele, Maradona, Cruyff, Messi, Ronaldo. Wear them, frame them, celebrate them. From the pitch to your wall, they're yours. The Legends Collection, only at the PLZ Soccer Shop. Click the link and get yours now.